Hi friends! So we're here today to review the Faber Castell Pitt Artist Pen, and these are the brush pens. So you can see my color selection. I only have 2 packs plus the black one. This is the black. This was the first pack, and then this was the skin color pack, so it didn't have many colors. And I'm reviewing these next because the first one I did were the Sakura Pigma brush pen, and these brush pens are very similar to the first one that we showed. So I will do a color swatch first, and then we will do an alphabet. So this, let's just turn this pad around here. This is the black. So now when I first show you this brush pen, it is comparison to the Sakura Pigma brush. It seems to be almost exactly the same, but this one is much more floppy, whereas this one it's a little bit more hard, I guess, and it has a little bit more bounce back. So the tip, like if I'm going to do, I can still get really thin upstrokes, but the tip is not quite as floppy as the previous one. And then upstrokes, you can still get really thin upstrokes. The problem is I've had this black one for quite a while, and already the tip seems to be fraying. And also, this black is not as opaque as some of the other black markers that I have. And these are not even water-based. So again, they say that they are India ink, waterproof, and maximum light fastness. So they will not fade if exposed to light over long periods of time, but it just doesn't seem to be as opaque as some of the other water-based brush pens that I have. So now I will write the actual color. So that one was actually 199, I believe. Okay, and I will just write out the numbers as I go. So I'm afraid this one you won't be able to see it. So now, before we actually get into the alphabet, these ones, they don't seem to have a very thin upstroke all the time, and I found some of them, the tips seemed different, and I don't know if it's because I used them more. So apparently you can pull this tip out and you can turn it over and it has the same end on the other side. So you can get more use out of them, but I do find they fray very, very quickly. And they're not as easy, similar to the Sakura Pigma brush pen, they're not as easy as some of the other brush pens. And I did this very, very quickly, so when I do the alphabet, I will be more precise, but I will speed it up and see that the colors are very, very bright, very vivid, and they don't fade, which is good, especially if you are doing professional artwork to sell. But they are not my favorite, and I will not be buying any more packs. I don't think it's worth it. And like I said before, you can get a pack of 96. I think it's $200, and I'm not a fan. So let's get into the alphabet. Okay, so as you can see, you can get very small letters, so they are still classified as a medium small brush pen nib. And so now I do have an even smaller version, so I'm kind of doing the medium ones first, which I think is okay because normally I would say the medium are the best. They give you kind of in between, so they're easier to work with, but they don't give you such huge letters that you run out of space on your paper. Whereas when we get into the Tombows and the La Plume Colorin, they are a bit larger of a brush pen. However, these two that I've showed so far are very, very floppy. The next ones I'll show are much easier for a beginner. And again, I don't think they're worth it for the money, and the color selection is really, really good. However, I really do enjoy the colors. I don't think that these are the easiest pen for a beginner. Again, they fray very, very quickly. So in the end, I'm not sure if they're worth however much you can get. Like, if you can find these at Michael's for cheap or on Amazon for cheap. I wanted to show you and just kind of show you what they look like, how they performed, and that is it. But I will kind of show you a comparison to the Pentel Touch. So now this pen is, like I said, the medium nib, and this is a fewed tip. So it looks very similar here, but half of this tip is plastic. So if I were to write the letter Z, you do have a lot more control with the smaller ones. So even for a beginner, I know that a lot of people say that small ones are easier for a beginner, and even compared to Tombow, for instance, they are harder to work with because they are so much larger. So these are a large brush pen, these are a small brush pen, and I'll show you the difference. So your letters are much larger. I feel like I have much more control with the Tombows compared to even the Faber Castell, for instance. And it could just be because I practice with them more. But again, this video isn't about any other brush pen. I just wanted to show you that in comparison's sake. So now if I was to use the Tombow blender on these, they shouldn't fade. So this has a little bit of blue there, but they shouldn't, like, they're supposed to be waterproof. So it could just be, again, because I'm using the Tombow blender as opposed to a water brush. But once they're dry, they should be fully dry. And again, it could also be the paper that I'm using it on. Again, this is the Rhodia paper pad, and this is the dock red version. So until next time, you guys, I hope this video gave you a little bit of insight as to how these brush pens perform. And I guess we'll talk a little bit about pricing. So for this pack of 2, 4, 6, I spent $9 on Amazon. And prices on Amazon change all the time. And that is amazon.ca. In Michael's, I believe they are almost $30 or close to, but if you use a coupon, you can get them for a little bit cheaper, but they are very pricey, and the more you buy in a pack, generally the cheaper they are. So you could do that if you were interested in using them, but I would suggest just practicing with them first. Again, my only complaint, the more you practice, the more that the nibs will fray, and then you won't get clean lines. And I can already see the tip of this green pen here is already fraying a little bit, and so they really don't last long. And until Faber Castell can come out with a better tip that actually doesn't fray, I think the colors are great though. Like, the colors are amazing. Until next time, you guys, again, if you have any questions, please leave comments down below, and also please click and subscribe and ring the bell. Do all the things to help me out, and we will talk to you very soon. Take care.